amazing audience. We are live with Sean Perrin. Sean, did I say Perrin correctly?
You did. That's perfect.
Love it. So Sean is from Calgary. We had an amazing conversation. I remember it like it was yesterday. There are conversations that I remember, and then there are conversations I need to listen over to then remember. But your conversation, I remembered. Probably because of the clarinet part, possibly because of something else. I'm sure about the clarinet and the fascination with that, as I did listen to some of your music after, or something that was online after. It was pretty interesting. And then, like, your earliest childhood memory was intriguing, but as well as the song you chose, which was the James Bond song,
yeah.
which was pretty cool, right? To know that you were listening that at that age, right?
When I was younger, a lot.
But more so, I mean, what people do not get to see on these conversations are like the pre-conversations and the post-conversations, which are so powerful, I believe, for me. So we were talking about technology just before. We were talking about how 19, 20-year-old would interact with that, and you were telling me about a movie. What was the name of the evening?
Well, there's a show on right now. It's called Back in Time for Dinner, and it goes from 1900 until 2000, I think, and it talks about all the different stages of the decades, I mean, and the technology that came out during each decade and how that changed and revolutionized how people ate. It's in Britain, but it's still pretty relevant for everybody. But
we were talking about synchronicity and what we've seen on this trip and the level of synchronicity. Like it's weird. So the guy before, it's not weird, it's exciting, I think. Because I think this generation looks for a sign to identify themselves with the purpose they're fulfilling. It's like, am I doing what I should be doing? You know, is this making sense? I think the signs, the light writing on the wall identifies with that.
Well, I had a philosophy professor in university who said something like, you know, the previous generation, they feared for their family and whether or not they had something to eat, but for this generation, their only fear is that they might become bored. And
that's a very good point.
It's true. You know,
because it's so much, right? Not to do.
Yeah. You're overwhelmed by opportunity and, you know, really on the shoulder of all those people who, you know, the world wars and all the innovation and everything. I mean, we're so lucky, but it's hard to just sit down and appreciate the things that are here. You're tempted to take it all in and have that fear of missing out or whatever. You know?
Most definitely. Love it. So give us an update. What's new in your world? The last time we talked, you had the Clarinet podcast.
Yeah, right? When was that? December? I think it was
December
around December.
2017.
Yeah.
Which is right around the corner. Yeah.
It's coming back. Yeah, well, lots has changed. I have that Clarinet podcast, which talks about all that's new and neat for clarinet. And since then, I started a second podcast. It's called OK Podcast. Ooh. It's a show about Radiohead. I'm a huge Radiohead fan. Some say I take it too far. And people, I think, got tired of me always posting about it on Facebook. So I thought I needed a dedicated audience that would maybe appreciate that.
How's that been, though? Has there been an audience that has?
Yeah, it's been really fun so far. I'm only 2 episodes in, but it's a lot harder to connect with guests because, you know, big bands like that are kind of hard to reach people, but I've talked to an author who wrote a book about the band and analyzed their music in depth, and we had to he was so impressed he actually joked that I should have written the book because I just have.
So is this like weekly, monthly?
I set up like a season of 12 episodes.
Right. I like 12.
Yeah, you do, I guess. 12 minutes. They're longer than 12 minutes, but they've been about an hour-ish, and I have 12 episodes kind of lined up in my head, and I've released 2, and there's kind of 2 I'm now working on, but I'm trying to do them about once or twice a month.
Okay.
So
high quality music edit.
Well, I have to do a lot of interviewing and research to get the content. I mean, I could just start talking about news related to Radiohead or something like that, but there's already 2 other podcasts that do that, and I wanted to sort of find a different goal with that. But yeah, it's been going really well, and so that was the one thing. I've been working a different job now as well. I run some online sales and marketing for a clarinet manufacturer. Ooh. So they're actually based in Vancouver, which I guess is where you're going tomorrow. So
what is it, or what?
It's called Bakun. They make some of the world's finest clarinets. Okay. So they have some really innovative. Yeah, it's a good fit for me. It's perfect actually, and all the computer stuff I can work from home generally doing that, and we also had.
Also helps.
Yeah, it's great.
A family guy now.
Yeah, we have our first child. She was born June 27th, so almost 1 month old today, I guess. Audris, yeah. Oops.
You're good. Well, that's amazing. Lots of change.
Lots of change. What about you?
I think in the last podcast you did ask me a question. I wonder. A lot has changed for me. I think my concept and mind has definitely been impacted by the effects of traveling across so many states in such of a little time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my perception about things definitely has changed. A lot has stayed the same, right? Definitely having principles in life and the importance of them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen how that impacts not just myself, but my wife and my family, by extension, my friends as well as increases the circles and my influences around my circle. So that sounds like a lot like meeting you today, how that impacts me. It's interesting because I learn from you, but then they as well get to learn, right? But even more so, there's this organic type of thing occurring, which is intriguing from a conversation.
Yeah, we've done like 1,000 podcasts, and this is this 987.
Yeah,
wow,
1,987.
that is crazy.
It's been fun. Yeah, I definitely think it's impactful. I'll say one more thing before I interview further. I think it's like I use the metaphor of a bottle with soapy water in it, and you're attempting to get it out. I think if you put it under water and allow the water to flow through just consistently, it eventually gets clear.
Yeah.
And then flows really well.
Yeah.
I think Conversations has done that for me and my challenges and my concepts and concerns, and has definitely helped clarify that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you're the guy getting all philosophical.
Yeah. Here we go. Diving deep here.
Read your head, guy.
Absolutely.
Now, one of the segments we cover is your own unique real shoes. I see your shoes here, right? They look interesting. I've never seen shoes like this. I'm telling you.
These are like my loafer type summer shoe when I don't feel like tying shoes.
Yeah, right. So
yeah.
they tell a story, right? But more so, the steps you've taken in life tell a story, which isn't seen in your shoes, which is your struggle. If you would, share with us one struggle you've had over the last year.
In these shoes?
Well, not even in the shoes, but just in...
Where did I wear these shoes? Becoming a father was a pretty big mindset shift.
Yeah.
So you have to start thinking differently about what you're going to do as far as financially and time-wise, and trying to make sure that you're going to be there, and you start thinking differently about stuff. So that was definitely a big kind of, I don't know if it was an internal struggle, but it was definitely something on mind. How are we going to proceed with this, and what if she's, God forbid, not healthy or something, but she's been great so far, and we're adjusting really well to that kind of.
I can imagine.
Life.
Are you getting sleep?
Well, no, we're not really sleeping too much. That's the biggest struggle, is when can I sleep?
Yeah.
But that's actually funny, because people, when they tell you about having kids, they often joke about not getting sleep, and I always thought oh yeah, and how bad could it be? And they're awake every 90 minutes, needing something for about an hour. So it's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah, you have kids, right?
I do. I
have
how
two,
many?
Yeah.
4 and 8.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
so they're
and
sleeping
both,
now.
I think. Well, they are sleeping now, thankfully. But I remember those days, those nights actually. It was crazy. It's like you get up and you're like a zombie getting the milk and.
Yeah. It's exactly. I can relate 100% now, but.
Yeah. There's one guy that I worked with. He's an energy bunny.
Yeah.
He's working, and I say, wait until you have a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he has a child, and then I see him, he closes the door to his office. Lunchtime, he has to get that nap because, it's crazy.
I guess that's not really a struggle, though. I mean, I see what as your questions evolved. So I guess last year, I think it was last year, although it might have been 2 years ago now, but I had tendon lacerations on my fingers. Ooh. I had an accident on the stairs, and that was... Yeah, and I had a glass in my hand, which then shattered, and it cut all those 3 tendons. So I had to really kind of realign what I was thinking as far as like a clarinet player. Yeah, and everything. I couldn't play for months, and it took a lot of... I had some physio and kind of rehab to try and bring it back. It's not perfect, but it did cause me to kind of realign, some things about my life, and it is one of the things that led me to this cool new job which I have, and I don't know if I would have applied had I not, had the reason to kind of reassess my playing goals, and but I'm really glad that I did. So they say everything happens for a reason, and
where's the best place for people to connect with you?
To connect with me, probably one of my podcasts, clarineat.com or okpodcast.com. My website, seanperrin.com. I have the domain, but because I have so many other things on the go, I haven't. There's not a website there right now.
Me too. I have angeljones.com, but 12-minute convos takes everything. What are you most excited about?
Excited about the coming year, or just in general? In general.
The year. I mean, you could do both.
Yeah, I don't know. Just seeing what the future brings. I mean, I like experiencing new things. I mean, I think this was a really great idea you had, and I was pumped about coming out today. And
I was pumped to have you.
Yeah, it was great. I remember when your episode came out, actually, I was in Texas, and I listened to it while I was driving around down there for work, and it was great. I enjoyed it, and then you announced this little trip thing, and so for today, that's what I was excited about. Ongoing, just, I guess, other things with the podcast and work, and yeah.
Did you believe when this guy said that he was coming from the Caribbean to meet you? Did you believe that he was going to actually come?
Yeah, I believed that the trip would happen, but I wasn't sure if he'd make it up this far north. Because I thought that it'd be easier to do a trip through the U.S. because definitely more people. But yeah, I was pretty impressed that it came through, and I believed I saw it happening. I believed you could do 1,000 episodes in a year, so I was already pretty impressed.
It's been amazing though how people have believed that I would come. Sometimes it's just amazing that people. It's only like recently I was asking Amanda. I was like, Amanda, what about if we didn't make it?
Mm-hmm.
But everyone is like, hey, when you do come on this day, and it's not as though we're taking our plane. It was pretty interesting to see that.
There's a power about saying that, like just setting a date and
then doing
it.
But definitely, So, all right. So Sean is live with us. We've had an amazing conversation via the podcast, and now we've had a conversation face to face. Sean, in closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, just thank you so much for coming to Calgary. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope it's not too cold. We were talking.
Well, you're seeing all of this because I am feeling cold, folks.
Yeah, I was telling him it's about what is it today? 20 degrees out Celsius.
It like 10.
It feels like 10, but in the winter it can be minus 40 here, and there'll probably be this much snow on the ground where we are right now. No, I hope you enjoy yourself. It's a great trip. It's a great idea, and thanks so much for talking to me again.
Yeah, thanks as well. Sean Perrin, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Did you have fun?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great. That's awesome.